Oh no, Eternals came out like 6 years ago. Why is he making a video about it? Well, hi, first of all, welcome to Access Blockbusters. I'm glad you're here, even though you're yelling at me, which is nice. But if you haven't been paying attention to the channel and if you haven't subscribed, well, again, please make sure to do so and leave a like on this video because I would really appreciate that. But if you haven't seen the video that I posted on Access Blockbusters clips about where the future of this channel is going, then you're going to know that you'll know that actual recorded videos that come out the day after that they've been edited, it's just going to be more rare on this channel because I'm very busy. But again, that's not to say that I don't like YouTube because here I am making a video. I've missed making videos, and so here's a video. Also, happy Thanksgiving. This will be coming out on Thanksgiving Day. Please enjoy this day with your family and friends. Please make sure to hug a loved one, all that good stuff, because that's what today is for. So after you watch this video all the way through, please watch ours. Thank you. Go call a family member, go hug a friend. It'll be worth it. Also, for those of you who have been following my channel, I know this is not the best audio quality. I'm sorry, I don't have my good mic with me. Long story, I won't explain here. But yeah, I'm sorry. Bear with me. I apologize. So as I alluded to earlier, Eternals came out a few weeks ago. It's not really relevant anymore in the sense of it's done. The Eternals is done. We've all went through the whole 40% of Rotten Tomatoes it has, and now we're waiting for Spider-Man No Way Home and Hawkeye. So yeah, Eternals is done. But because it is such an interesting movie to me that everybody has a different opinion on, I thought I'd share mine. Because that's what this channel is for, just sharing my thoughts. So, as you've seen by the title is not clickbait. It really isn't. I believe that Eternals is a top 10 MCU movie. I do. Now, I'm gonna assume that most of you guys who are watching this video by now have seen the Eternals, so this is gonna be a full spoiler discussion / review, more of a discussion really, because if you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie, make your own opinion on it. If you hate it, that's fine, but I'm gonna be talking about full spoilers, so that's your warning. Here's the thing with Eternals. Here's my theory about what happened and why it's so divisive, because yeah, I mean, there's no denying it. Eternals has a 40-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not a good score by any means. My suspicion with that critic score, because again, the audience score is actually generally very positive. So I don't know about you guys, and I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Please leave them, because I'd love to hear what you guys think about Eternals, because this film, I mean, it's divisive amongst the critics, and while I've gotten varying responses from people that I've seen it with and other people who have seen the movie as well, it's skewed generally positive. I have some friends who really don't like the movie, but I also have some friends who really do. And like you've heard from the title, I love the movie. I think I'm probably the one out of pretty much anybody that I've talked to that likes the movie the most. And my suspicion with this is that, just a theory, if, you can call me out on this, I might be totally wrong. My suspicion, though, is that for critics at least, they were expecting one of two things, and they got neither. They were expecting a Chloe Zhao Oscar film under the Marvel brand. They were expecting this to be Nomadland, but just labeled as Marvel. Okay, there's one. The other possibility that I think people were expecting was just an MCU movie. I think that's what people come to expect when you see Marvel Studios, for better or for worse. Marvel has a brand, they have a way of filmmaking, even with shows that are zany and different like WandaVision. It's still Marvel, right? And I think what they got was something down the middle. It's not quite a traditional MCU movie. It's not a philosophical Oscar contender either. I maintain that it's something down the middle. And I think that for me, that worked incredibly well. Now again, I want to preface this by saying I've only seen the film once, and so maybe if I see it again, which I intend to at some point, I'm going to absolutely hate it, or I might even love it more. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going off of what I saw the first time, that I saw it in the theaters. And I'll get one of the things that I didn't like out of the way pretty quickly. I do think the pacing is not perfect at all times. Like, I definitely found myself thinking, wait, there's another Eternal that we haven't met yet, and we're, I think, an hour and a half into the movie, and then I realized, oh yeah, we haven't met Phastos yet. And then Makari kind of shows up out of nowhere. So, yeah, no, I definitely do think that the pacing at times is pretty slow and pretty sloppy, to be quite honest. But I think that what is filled in the meantime is very worthwhile character development and character motivation and character building. I honestly think that the character work in this movie is better than probably some of the best MCU movies. I even think a team movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, this just does it better, in my opinion. I think all 10 Eternals have pretty much something unique and special about them, more than just, oh, Gilgamesh can punch people and Makari can run really fast. Like, I think even the weaker ones, like Gilgamesh and Thena, who I think are the weaker ones in the film, I think their performances are great, but I think that, in terms of their characters, probably the least development. But I think that they understood that. Chloe Zhao and the writers understood that and decided to pair them up together, which I think is a very smart thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that all the characters have to work the same as others, Like, I think with 10 Eternals, some people were saying, why not just have 8 or 9? I mean, fine, fine. It could have worked better with 8 or 9 Eternals, but I think that the character work that they've done with all 10 Eternals was great. I do agree that Dane Whitman was kind of, odd just being in and out of the movie. I'm not entirely sure what his point was, but that's alright. And yeah, like this expansive, giant world-building film, like that whole sequence where Arishem is just explaining everything to Gemma Chan's Cersei, and just the entire creation of universes, of planets, of celestials. Listen, I'm a sucker for world building. I love Dune, for example. I haven't put a review out on that yet, but I love the film. I love the book, and I mean, world building, if done right, is incredible, Now, I want to say this too, though. This leads me into another point that I was wanting to talk about, and that is what I have gotten from other people who have seen the film is that this doesn't feel like an MCU movie. And I think there's two different ways to interpret that. I think one is one that I disagree with, and one is one that I do agree with. The one that I disagree with being, it doesn't feel like an MCU movie in tone, or in terms of scale, or in terms of whatever. And I disagree with that. I think that this has Marvel branding all over it, again, for better or for worse. What I will say about that, though, in terms of the flip side, the other interpretation, is that this doesn't feel like an MCU movie in terms of continuity. And I completely agree with that. I think that Arishem appearing out of the sky in the middle of London at the end of the movie and just picking up people and zapping out, I mean, hey, Sam Wilson, Peter Parker, you don't have anything better to be doing. Even Kang the Conqueror, you don't have anything better to be doing. It's a little weird to me. And, like, we're just not going to acknowledge there's a giant hand in the middle of the ocean. Okay, fine. But to be honest, and this is again just my own opinion, I have really stopped caring as much about Marvel continuity. Because the MCU Phase 4, and I'll probably make a video about this at some point, is a disaster. I genuinely believe that the MCU Phase 4 is a disaster. Not in terms of individual quality, because again, I think Eternals is a top 10 MCU movie. I think Shang-Chi is very close to that. I loved Black Widow. I liked Black Widow a lot. I loved WandaVision. WandaVision is also a top 10 MCU property. I thought Loki had its ups and downs, but was, had its moments. I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was decent, if not very solid. I think What If was not great, to be quite honest with you. But I think in terms of cohesive storytelling, I think we've lost a little bit of that. One hero, Iron Man, one hero, Captain America, one hero, Thor, then Hulk, and then Hawkeye and Black Widow, and we all assemble to the Avengers in a very nice, streamlined way. I don't think that's happening anymore. And I think it's up to you whether you want to jump on that bandwagon or not. But yeah, no, I mean, all of that aside, if you just look at this from a film, at least the way that I did, I think the villain, Icarus, is one of the better villains in the MCU. I really do. Because I think it was another one of those bait and switch things where, I think we kind of figured that Icarus might be an evil presence in the movie. I didn't think he would be the main villain, though. And that's why I don't have a problem with the Deviants being sort of quote-unquote wasted. Because a lot of people who have seen the film have told me, look, I just didn't like the Deviants as villains. I argue that they're not even really villains. They're more like goons. And I think that we just have to get out of the mentality that they are the villains of the movies, because they're not. Icarus is the villain of the movie. And the ideological clash that he has with the rest of the Eternals, and even the way that some of the Eternals agree with him, like Sprite and Kingo, that's just fascinating character development for me. And it comes full circle when he confronts Cersei at the end. I think it just makes so much poetic sense and sense for the character that he would give up on his loyalties to Arishem just for Cersei and realize, the magnitude of his sins and his crimes and fly into the sun. It's just so poetic to me. I think the visuals are breathtaking. I think that's one thing that a lot of people can agree on. Chloe Zhao directed this film beautifully. And I think the characters, which is what this film relies on more than story even, is great. I think that the flashbacks are awesome. I think that the way that the film intercuts between them, I think that pacing works really well because, yeah, I mean, we haven't been introduced to present-day Phastos until about, 2/3 the way through the movie, but we've seen Phastos throughout the rest of the movie because of the flashback scenes. I think that works really well. And the last thing that I'm going to say for now, before I sign off, because I could talk about Eternals for a long time, and I think a lot of other people could, maybe for different reasons than me, is that I think that the philosophical layerings behind this movie is what really got me. I think that films that make you think are the better films. I appreciate an Ant-Man or an Ant-Man and the Wasp, for example, or a Guardians of the Galaxy, although Guardians of the Galaxy has some good themes as well. But, I mean, I appreciate films that just kind of, you sit back and you enjoy them. But I think that this movie does something different. I think the fact that this movie highlights the goodness of humanity and how we are worth protecting and we are worth saving because we do good things. It's a powerful message, I think. I think also the idea of loyalty to your mission versus what you actually believe in. Like, I just think these are relevant themes that we have to think about in today's day and age. And that's just not something that Marvel has done recently. So again, I understand that, not everyone's going to like this movie, and that's fine. And I probably will see it again, and, I may not like it the second time. But right now, I think that this is one of the best MCU movies ever made. I don't think it fits into the MCU continuity at all. I'm very curious to see how they're going to fix it, although, again, my interest is waning because why do we have 36 MCU shows now? I don't quite know. But anyways, all that aside, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Eternals in the comments down below. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. If you'd like to check out some more videos, just check out the videos on the screen right now. Make sure to subscribe, give this video a like, and I will see you in the next video. Season of Spider-Man. Here we go.